Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday, our Tech Tuesday. It'll be a slightly shorter evening tonight, but I'm wanting to start a new series on gut health. Now, when we talk gut health, we, as Near Life distributors, always associate Acidophilus Plus, which is our probiotic, with a healthy gut. But that is currently not available in our country at the moment. So I wanted to look at other things that are available that will boost our gut health and keep our gut healthy, because your gut health is vital. It is the basis for so much of our health. And if anybody's ever had an upset stomach, you will know that if your tummy ain't happy, you ain't happy. So gut health is very, very important, and it regulates so many things in our body. And we know that there's bad bacteria. Obviously, people get sick because of bad bacteria, and there's also good bacteria. And we need to know how to keep our gut healthy. And they call the gut the second brain. That is how important your gut is, because if your gut is not functioning, that means that no matter what you are eating, how much you're eating, no matter what you're supplementing with or how much you're supplementing with, if your gut isn't able to absorb those nutrients, break them down, and disperse them through your system, nothing is going to happen. It's absolutely useless. It would be the same as pouring petrol in your carburetor in the engine, and there's no filters, and it doesn't go through anything, and it goes straight out underneath the car and it falls on the floor. You can fill your car with petrol, but unless it's able to use it to turn that petrol into energy to drive or to turn the engine to drive the car, it's absolutely useless. You may as well be filling your fuel tank with water. It'll have the same effect. And it's the same with us. What we're not absorbing is being turned into waste. And we all know where waste goes from our body, goes straight into the toilet. And worse, if your body can't process those waste products, it has a buildup in your system, which leads to all sorts of health issues. And pardon me, but I might sound a little bit gross. Think about if you've got a septic tank system in your house or attached to your house. If that septic tank, if the bacteria in that septic tank is not operating correctly and not breaking down all the waste products that are coming in there, what happens? It overflows, doesn't smell so good, and it in fact backflows into the toilet. And that then leads to fun and games in your house. Now, the same thing happens with our gut. If we're not able to absorb, process, and use what we need to and get rid of the reduced waste, it's going to back up in your system and it's going to cause problems. This is where illnesses happen. This is where you get appendicitis. This is where you get upset stomachs and diarrhea. You get your gallbladder inflamed. All these sorts of things are happening if your gut is not working correctly. And as I've said before on more than one occasion, diet is what you eat. Nutrition is what you absorb. And if you're not absorbing what you're eating, you're not getting proper nutrition. It's as simple as that. But let me share my screen, get into what I need to get into. Close a few of these things over here. So we're talking about getting your gut right, which is the basis to getting your ideal nutrition. An unhealthy gut equals an unhealthy life, as I've just spoken about. There's been a lot of talk about the gut microbiome in recent years, and this is a developing study. Even though we've known about it for a long time, it's still people don't know everything about the gut and how it works, very much like the brain. So, as I said, the gut is known as the second brain. And if we still don't know exactly how the brain works, how are we going to know how the gut works? If you aren't yet aware of its critical function and importance, here's some of the basics that you need to know. Our diets feed more than just our body's cells. Remember, we are made up of trillions of cells, and you are only as healthy as that individual cell. We're also feeding a variety of microorganisms that reside inside our digestive tracts, collectively known as the gut microbiome. Now, remember, your digestive tract, as one of the SAB members puts it, has an opening on the north side and an opening on the south side. So technically, it's an external organ. Now, what goes in there, got to come out the bottom, but it goes through quite the journey before it comes out. Research shows strong associations between specific nutrients from our diets and the appearance of certain microbes in our gut. It's been said that there's just so much real estate available in the gut. So if you don't have this healthy balance of good and bad bacteria, you're going to have an unhealthy balance of more bad bacteria than good bacteria. And that's where, pardon the pun, the brown stuff hits the fan. This is key to understanding how our diet impacts our health. So what is this microbiome? It's a term used to describe the microorganisms, micro meaning microscopic, meaning you can't see it with your eye, but they're there, which live inside the human body, especially in the digestive tract, both in health and disease. The human body contains 10 times more microbial cells than human cells. Wrap your mind around that one. Because I already said they guesstimate around about 73 trillion cells. Now there's 10 times more microbial cells. We live in a complex system. And they say we just randomly came about. The total collection of microbial cells makes up less than 3% of your body weight and about 1.3 kilograms. That's a lot of cells making up 1.3 kilos of your entire body weight. The human immune system is heavily influenced by the microbiome because, again, if your gut is not happy, your immune system is going to go very low down. Scientists are looking at connections between the microbiome and the autoimmune diseases like diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, and possibly even some cancers. Organisms in the digestive tract can also play a role in obesity, depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. And the sad thing is, we know what all these things are. And what happens is, with no disrespect to the doctors, but they diagnose a problem and they treat the problem. They don't always diagnose the problem, then break it down and find out what caused the problem, sort out the cause to treat the problem. They take the problem and they treat the symptoms of the problem. So I'll simplify it and say, you go to a doctor and you say, my back's sore. So he takes x-rays of your back and he has a look and he says, but there's nothing there. Why is your back sore? Well, a sore lower back could be you picked up something incorrectly. Could be you slept in an incorrect position in bed and your back and your muscles got cold and went into spasm. Could be that you got a kidney problem or kidney infection. Or it could be that you got one leg shorter than the other for whatever reason. But generally what is done is they say, you've got a sore back, we can't see anything, take some painkillers and see if that sorts out the problem. If it doesn't, then they've got to work it out further. So exactly the same as these things, you've got rheumatoid arthritis. So we throw a whole lot of drugs and things at it and try and sort it out. What's causing it? Who knows? Fibromyalgia, which is basically chronic pain. What's causing it? Find out. Don't just throw painkillers at it. Depression, bipolar. What's causing those problems? Find out the cause, treat the cause, sort out the problem. And a lot of it is nutrition related. The nature of the microbiome has profound effects upon health. A healthy microbiome makes for a healthy person. Sounds simple, it sounds natural, it sounds correct. People with health problems of different types often manifest abnormalities in their gut flora. They often show a lack of diversity of intestinal microorganisms, presence or overgrowth of pathogens, or unbalanced populations of gut microbes. And sadly, what's been happening over the last numerous years is that you go to the doctor with a problem, and quite often, and I'm not saying every doctor, and I'm not saying every time, but quite often they give you a course of antibiotics. Now, antibiotics, for want of any better description, are like a machine gun. Picture a crowd at a rugby stadium, and you take a machine gun, and it's going to sound very gross, and you open fire, and you're going to take out a whole lot of people. Now, you're taking out good people, you're taking out bad people. And that is what an antibiotic does. What you rather want to do is, you know that there's bad people in that rugby stadium. You want to take out the bad people without affecting the good people. So you need to make sure that you're taking care, or you're boosting the good bacteria or the good people, who will then overpower and take care of the bad people. And this is what happens in your gut. So we have a thing called bacterial flora. Think of flowers. The lower part of the digestive tract is filled with bacteria. More than 90% of the bacterial population is composed of two classes of organisms. Don't worry about the big fancy names over here, but one of them is called firmicutes and the other one is bacteroidetes. Bacteroidetes are efficient at breaking down complex carbohydrates and plant fibers. Think of having a salad or multi-fiber blend. Remember, fiber is made up of numerous different things. There's soluble fiber, there's insoluble fiber, there's lignans, there's pectins, there's a whole mess of different things which we find in our plants, in our plant diet. They are not as efficient at extracting calories from food as the firmicutes. Firmicutes thrive on sugars and fats. What is in the average diet today? We're talking the SAD diet or the standard American diet. Sugars and fats. Now, firmicutes contain a large number of species associated with disease and inflammation. So feed a whole lot of junk into your gut, and you are feeding these firmicutes, which it's like trying to put out a fire by throwing petrol at it. It's not going to end very well. Firmicutes bacteria are very efficient at extracting calories from food. So you can have this big meal, you feel full for a short amount of time, and very soon thereafter you feel as though you haven't had food to eat for weeks or days. So you go out and you binge and you have another meal. This is where your obesity comes from. Those who are overweight or diabetic tend to have a gut bacteria dominated by this family of firmicutes. Firmicutes not only increase the energy harvest from the gut, but they also alter the genes affecting how calories are utilized in the body. Major component of the outer membrane of some bacteria in this family is a substance called LPS, or lipopolysaccharide. Lipo is fat, poly means many, and saccharide means sugar. So what is this LPS? It stands for lipopolysaccharide. And that big word simply means that the molecule is a combination of a fat and a sugar. LPS is a biological terrorist. What do terrorists do? Yeah. It lights up the inflammatory pathways in the body. LPS provides structural integrity for bacteria. Bacteria, living things, they need something to cling to in order to thrive and grow. Imagine taking a whole lot of carrot seeds and you simply fling them out of your back door and they land wherever. If they land in fertile, soft soil, we don't talk about a biblical parable over here, but think about it. So you throw out these seeds, it lands in fertile, soft soil, and it grows nicely, and you have a good crop of carrots. But what happens is a lot of those seeds land on tar, gravel, concrete, and that is what happens with the LPS. Nothing happens. The food is there, but it's not able to grow. And what the LPS does is it takes those seeds and it pushes them away from the fertile soil and pushes them onto the tar and the concrete. And then it can't grow, but it can become inflamed. And the LPS also protects the bacteria from being digested. It is a toxin which comes from within bacteria, hence it is called an endotoxin. Humans are much more sensitive to LPS than most animals. Endotoxin has been implicated in the development of obesity and insulin resistance due to the induction of inflammation. Remember, almost all disease is caused by inflammation. LPS also increases intestinal permeability, contributing to what has been called leaky gut. The ability of bacteria to produce substances on their surface similar to host tissues is called molecular mimicry and is associated with the development of autoimmune conditions like multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis. Molecular mimicry is a defense mechanism utilized by pathogens to redirect the lethal activity of the immune system to the host organism rather than toward the invading pathogen. Bacteria containing LPS inhabit the digestive tract of everyone. It is normally prevented from entering the bloodstream by a structure called the tight junction in the lining of the intestine, and I've covered that in previous talks on this. The integrity of the tight junction can be breached by a number of factors, including toxins, gluten intolerance, or vitamin D deficiency. Simple things. These factors create a leaky gut, leading to all manner of inflammatory problems. LPS generates free radical production in the mitochondria when energy is produced in brain and nerve cells. And this suggests a role for antioxidants such as polyphenols in reducing the neurological damage which can be induced by elevated levels of LPS in the blood. The ultimate protection against LPS is to restore a healthy gut which does not allow LPS into the bloodstream. And I'm going to end it right there, and we've got about 5 minutes left over here. So, does anybody have any questions or comments before I stop the recording?